I used to be a doormat, and I used to let people walk all over me. I used to be taken for granted in my relationships a lot, disrespected by my boss, and always putting up with really flaky friends that didn't take our friendship seriously. And it felt as if I was begging the universe for scraps. And if you're watching this video, you probably deeply relate with my story. But through years of doing inner work and changing my self-concept, I realized that you have been the one who is deciding what you tolerate. Hi, my name is Jasra, and on this channel, we talk all about becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you absolutely love. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to be taken seriously and make anyone respect you instantly. This is for anyone who is tired of being a people pleaser, tired of being taken advantage of, and instead you want your voice and presence to matter and be taken seriously. And you also want to feel like a true priority in people's lives. Once I had committed to these 6 lifestyle changes, which I'll be sharing in this video, my life made a complete 180, and people were speaking to me very differently, and I was treated with more respect, I was treated with more kindness, and at the same time, I felt that I was showing up very differently as well. Some of these tips I'm going to share are going to be a little odd or a little irrelevant, but I promise you, it will take you to places and connect you with people that truly know and recognize your value. Here are all the video chapters, and you can find the video chapters in the description below. And if you are somebody who is ready to do the real work, I'm not just talking about watching these videos, but actually transforming. I provide worksheets for every single one of my videos. In these worksheets, you'll find in-depth journaling prompts as well as practical exercises to help you start removing your limiting beliefs and to write out an action plan so you can start living out as your highest self today. You can access these worksheets down in the description below. Now let's dive into the video. The first tip is to stop hiding in busy work and start doing what actually matters. You might be thinking, Jazz, what does this have to do with being instantly respected? If you are the type of person who keeps avoiding certain tasks or certain priorities that you know you need to do, but every time you're finding excuses and you're finding different ways to distract yourself with busy work, what is truly happening is avoidance. Because if you think about the logic of this, if you don't do what you say you're gonna do and you don't take your own word seriously, how do you expect anyone else to take your word seriously? People who are taken seriously are always doing what's necessary. They're always doing the very thing that matters. Even if the very thing that they need to do is completely new to them, which is very common, right? They're not afraid of making a fool of themselves. They're not afraid of getting rejected. I know a lot of you guys who are watching this video are obviously very driven, very ambitious. Now, this is where you need to pay particularly close attention, because if we are constantly associating being ambitious as being busy, are you truly using your time effectively on tasks that are taking you and moving you forward? Or are you just keeping your time filled doing things that don't actually have a high priority? Because if you are caught up doing busy work, but that busy work has no real impact, you're still avoiding things, you're still avoiding life. So avoidance is when you feel out of control of your own life. You feel powerless over your own life. And when you avoid your life, you stop taking your life seriously. And in turn, you do not take yourself seriously. If you currently hate your job, and instead of spending the entire weekend committed to applying to different jobs, you spend the entire weekend reorganizing your closet because you want to reorganize your life. If you strive to have a healthier relationship with your partner, instead of having a real sit-down conversation and confronting everything that's been happening in the relationship, what the problems are, and how to solve those problems, you go into this huge rabbit hole of finding the perfect caterer for your wedding or the perfect wedding venue. If you dream of being a full-time content creator, instead of just pressing record and filming what you can and learning as you go, you invest in the most expensive camera gear, and then you spend months researching on the best SEO hacks for your YouTube channel so you can blow up really fast. And you may even spend an additional few weeks researching on the perfect topic so you would blow up. And after all of this work, you still haven't posted that video. But trust me when I say this busy work you're doing to fill up your time actually requires a lot more effort and a lot more willpower to keep this up. That avoidance is just draining your energy, because the more you think about the thing that you need to do, or I'll just do this later, I'll just do this tomorrow, the more you keep delaying a task, the more that it will take up space in your mind. And taking up space in your mind requires energy. But what if the very thing that you keep delaying isn't as scary as you think? Because we've all had this before, where we had to do something and we kept delaying it for months. And then when we actually came to doing the very thing, we were like, oh wait, that wasn't so bad. We just make it a lot bigger in our minds. So I want you to start lifting the veil in your life and start looking at things objectively. Start confronting your life. What are some things that I've been avoiding and just instead filling it up with random tasks that aren't actually a priority? The confrontation piece is not the easiest because it requires you to make difficult decisions, having uncomfortable conversations even, or even taking action even if it's really scary. And trust me, you're gonna figure it out. Which leads me to my second point, which is to stop the strategic confusion game and adopt the everything is figureoutable mindset. So what exactly is strategic confusion? Strategic confusion is pretending something is too complex or too difficult that you don't even bother trying to understand it. So that way, you don't have to deal with it. And we love to make excuses about this. So when it comes to tax season, you may say, oh, I had C's in math, so I'll never be able to figure this out. Or if you got C's in English, you'll say, well, in high school, I was a terrible writer, so I'll never be able to write my book, which is something that I dream of. But in fact, the world's most successful and richest entrepreneurs like Richard Branson and Gary Vee, they did not do well in school. And in fact, Richard Branson actually left high school pretty early on. What if you don't lack the intelligence? What if you already had all the brain cells necessary to understand anything and everything? But what if the real problem here is the lack of resilience, willingness, and patience to really sit down and figure things out? I want to share a story about a specific reason why strategic confusion is only going to lead people to disrespect you and not take you seriously. So I used to be a bank teller. So I had one coworker who would do some pretty shady things in order to achieve their sales targets. And he would specifically target either people who didn't speak English or he would target people who were older. And he would essentially help these people apply to credit cards or apply to bank accounts that they don't need. And they end up taking advantage of these people because they end up signing an agreement that they don't understand. What are some instances where you pretend to understand something or you commit to something, but in reality, you don't understand a thing? The serious consequence to strategic confusion is that you outsource your power to other people. And because oftentimes in the finance space, people are very self-serving and instead they will always think about what's in it for them rather than doing what's in your best interest. And because they know that you don't understand, people will take advantage of you. So if you don't understand something, don't sign anything, don't commit to anything, don't be afraid to ask questions. People are so afraid to be seen as dumb, but don't be afraid of that because the more that you are afraid of being dumb, the more that you're allowing people to do what it is that they want to do to you. You need to first understand what it is you're getting into, and then you become someone who doesn't get easily manipulated. Strategic confusion puts you in a deep disadvantage because if you assume that you won't understand a topic, you're essentially accepting failure. You will feel less and less in control of your life, and you're allowing other people who are seemingly more knowledgeable than you to call the shots in your life. Nothing in life is truly that complicated, and there are so many resources out there that there's no excuse. There are YouTube videos, blog posts, podcasts, books, also ChatGPT. There are a lot of AI resources that can help you learn and study. If a human on this planet has managed to figure it out, why can't you? A lot of people feel unconsciously stunted and capped because they believe that their grades have a correlation to their own intellectual ability, and that's simply not true. By just carrying this belief that everything is figureoutable, nothing is that complicated, everything that you come across, you will be able to figure it out, that approach will completely change your life. The third tip is to become accountable and live a life of integrity. If you want to be taken more seriously, if you want to be respected, you need to start building long-term trust. I'm not just talking about building trust with one specific person, but building trust with everyone around you. And that starts with self-accountability. The type of person that lives in integrity is someone who holds a lot of value in their words. If they say they'll do something, they'll do it. They're the types of people that are always speaking the truth, even if it's uncomfortable for them or even if it's uncomfortable for the other person. And they do these two things consistently. It does not matter how charismatic you are, how talented you are, how funny you are, how smart you are even. If you lack accountability. And if you lack integrity, people won't trust you and people won't respect you after that. My sister used to be the biggest fan of this artist called Takeshi, and no doubt he is an incredibly talented artist. So my sister got a pair of tickets to see Takeshi, and he ends up canceling. So, things happen, things get in the way. So she got another pair of tickets to see Takeshi for his next show. He cancels that too. So at that point, my sister is pretty pissed. She was a loyal fan, but he had completely destroyed her trust because he kept bailing on his shows. It does not matter how great you are. The moment when someone cannot rely on you, they lose all of respect for you. If you're gonna say you're gonna do something and you don't end up following through, people will stop trusting your word, and in fact, people might even stop listening to your music. Because the truth is, when you have this repeated pattern of the lack of follow-through, people change the way that they see you. People may not feel safe referring you to jobs or doing collabs or inviting you out to hang out with their friends. It's because the lack of accountability does lose and rip apart your reputation. If you made plans with someone, go, even if you don't feel like it. If you promise someone a favor that you're gonna do something for them, do it. Even if you're tired or overworked, it doesn't matter. That's on you. Because if someone asked for a favor or if someone asked to hang out with you, you had every right to stop that conversation and say, let me get back to you in 30 minutes. Let me check my schedule, because you also are in charge of your schedule. You're also in charge of deciding what gets to be placed in your week. Even if you're tired or you just came back from a long day at work, you still need to commit to it. So try doing this. The next time someone asks to hang out with you, or the next time someone asks for a favor, instead of just going into your people-pleasing routine, you need to pattern interrupt. Instead, you need to say, just give me 30 minutes. I'm gonna figure it out on my end and see if I can make it fit. You don't need to say yes immediately, and you don't have to say no immediately. Just give yourself some time and ask for more time so you can arrange your schedule to really see if it fits. Another thing is that integrity could save your butt, because in moments where you can't defend your reputation, that is where integrity makes all the difference. Because if someone was talking smack about you behind your back in front of your friends, and you are the type of person who is in full integrity, you're someone who is honest, consistently kind, consistently genuine, your friends are going to take your word over this random strangers. Now imagine the same situation happened, but you are notorious for lying and bailing. Are your friends really gonna trust you, or are they gonna trust this random person's words? That's the thing. They might choose this random stranger's words over yours, even if they've known you longer. The fourth tip is to stop punishing yourself and to start forgiving yourself. You cannot demand respect externally if you are constantly shaming yourself internally. If you want respect, respect starts from your own internal experience. Life is simply a mirror, and we attract the types of people that reflect the self-concept that we have. So if we believe that we are powerless, that we are small, then we're going to attract the very people that make us feel that way. If we feel empowered, if we feel valued, then we're going to attract people that make us feel that way. So respect really starts with yourself. Respect is an internal experience, and if you do not respect yourself, how do you expect the world to respect you? We tend to be very kind to ourselves when we're living our peak, when life is going well, but when things aren't going well, it's a lot harder to show that same empathy, to show that kindness. But those are the moments that matter the most. We are humans, and we're not always gonna get things right. We're all doing this thing called life for the first time, and that means that sometimes we make bad mistakes or bad choices. What if to be taken seriously requires you to see the humanness within you and to also see the humanness in other people? Say that you have a child, and this child frequently makes innocent mistakes, like accidentally spilling their milk, or accidentally spilling their soup, or breaking their toy. And every time the child makes a small innocent mistake, you punish them. You hit them, you yell at them, you humiliate them. And as this goes on, and the more frequently the child is constantly punished for innocent small mistakes, that child isn't gonna feel safe enough, and that child isn't gonna trust themselves to make big decisions in life. If you have had a similar childhood where you were constantly punished for very small things, that's why it's really hard for you to trust yourself, especially when it comes to big life decisions or when you're taking risks. That trust is so important, because if you don't trust yourself, other people won't trust you. When you grow up in this kind of environment, it also manifests in your real day-to-day life. So, for example, if you mess up at work, your manager may be kind to you and say, you know what, don't worry, We'll figure a way out. We just need to sit through this and figure it out together. But in your head, you're punishing yourself. You're constantly beating yourself up for making that mistake. Self-blame is the worst and most pervasive form of victim mentality. When you make a mistake, your first instinct is probably, I'm so incompetent. I'm so bad at this. I can't believe I messed up this very simple task. But did you know that by punishing yourself, it doesn't actually help the situation? It only creates a perpetual cycle where you're constantly making the same mistake, going through the same self-punishment routine, and you're not fully learning the mistake, you're just beating yourself up for it. The difference between self-blame and self-accountability is self-blame is very past focused. It's focused on beating yourself up for something that has already happened and that can't be changed. But self-accountability is when you are future focused and your primary goal is to fix the problem at hand no matter what has happened in the past. I want to take you back to high school, and I want you to think about the time when you got your test results back. So your teacher was handing out your test papers and you get to finally review everything. What do you end up doing? Are you the type of student that looks at the test score and immediately identifies themselves to that test score? You might say, oh, I know I'm bad at math. Oh, I'm so terrible at this. I will never succeed. I'll never be smart enough. Do you beat yourself up immediately when you look at that score? And do you identify yourself and your own self-concept based on what's written on a piece of paper? Now, the type of person who is self-accountable, this person may have the same exact test score, but their approach is very different. The moment they receive their test, they look at the score, they don't identify with the score because they know that they can do better. They open the test and they review every single mistake that they went wrong. They clarify with the teacher if they needed more help. They'd even go back and practice and do the problem again so they figure it out the next time so they don't make the same mistake. Now, who is going to succeed? Is it the person that identified with the test score, who blamed themselves for not being smart enough and that they'll never be successful? Or is it the person that actually has a focus on improving their test score next time, doing the best that they can, understanding where they went wrong so they don't do that again? As long as we can forgive ourselves, we don't need other people's forgiveness. You deserve respect regardless of your mistakes. No one is ever going to be perfect. The fifth tip is to live from your values and purpose, not just your goals. The people who live by their values, their purpose, their mission, they always win. If you think about salespeople, a bad salesperson is someone who is always trying to close because their goal, their short-term intention is to make money. Everything they do is about hitting their sales targets. Everything they do is about their commission check. And that energy is really short-sighted because it's very self-serving. How likely are you going to respect this person? How likely are you going to even listen to this person? You won't. But however, a good salesperson is very different because a good salesperson is driven by his purpose. He's driven by his values. He has something much bigger than making that sale or getting that commission check. He believes that his purpose is to be of service to other people. They try to understand you. They listen. They answer your questions. They give out their own precious time to really connect with you. So instead of their own self-serving needs, they're thinking about what the customer actually needs to improve their life. What if life is the same way? What if we are all salespeople? Do you want to get shut down every time? Or do you want people to listen and respect what you have to say? And trust me, ladies, if you are a value-driven, purpose-driven woman, it is so sexy. It attracts the very high-quality people that you want to meet because they also have aligned goals and purpose. Do not lead a life that is solely focused on pursuing your goals. Because if you don't have values, if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a mission greater than yourself, you are going to approach these goals with a very self-serving energy. And what happens is that not only do you drive more people away, but your goal in itself, even if you achieve that goal, it's going to mean nothing to you. It's like buying 1 million Instagram followers, right? You may achieve this external success, that you have 1 million followers. But if you actually look at your post, you're not getting any engagement at all. You know, you have 1 or 2 likes. It's a fake sort of success because you are not resonating it with your truth, your values, your purpose. That is what gives those goals meaning. Short-term respect is like a sugar rush. If we approach ourselves in ways where we're manipulating other people's behaviors. So for example, on one side of the spectrum, we have the people pleasers. They're agreeing to everything, they're doing everyone favors, and they're kind of expecting that respect in return. But they don't get it. They may get it temporarily when they're saying yes, but people are always going to go back to taking advantage of you. And on the other hand, you have tyrannical behavior where you're feeding more fear to get people to respect you. So for example, you're threatening that people would lose their jobs if they don't listen to you. If you study highly respected people like Tony Robbins, Marie Forleo, Dr. Joe Dispenza, they have built their business and personal brand not just from very surface level goals like money value or from subscriber count, for example. These may be goals that they have, but they're not the driving force to their success. But the driving force of their success is their purpose, their mission in life, and that their values, that they stay firm to their values no matter what. This really is a paradox because the people who attract the most attention, the most respect, and even admiration are usually not the ones trying to get it. They're not the ones trying to fit in. They're actually the ones that are brave enough to go against the grain. It's because when someone is so deeply anchored in their own purpose, like they're genuinely focused on what they're building, what they care about, what they're curious about, they stop orienting their behavior around other people's reactions. When you're not chasing attention, you become so much more interesting because your attention and focus is on something that is way more meaningful than someone's validation. And by nature, people feel pulled in by that. They care more about fulfilling their purpose than to be liked, and that you know that they'll never sell themselves out or lose who they are for anything that isn't aligned with their values and purpose, no matter how tempting the reward is or how heavy the pressure. It's important to have goals, but don't let goals be the sole driver of your life. Number 6 is to teach people how to treat you. The difference between you and someone who is highly respected isn't actually the situation, because we can't avoid that. Disrespect, hate even, is something that's very common in this day and age. But the difference is how you respond to it and how you stand up for yourself. Scarlett Johansson was once asked by a male reporter if she was wearing underwear under her superhero suit. Taylor Swift once had a reporter joke in her face that she would go home with more men at the Golden Globes in 2013. It's unfortunate, but none of us are safe. We're all exposed to the potential of being disrespected. But how you respond matters, because how you respond is how you are telling people to treat you. You are upholding a standard. You're putting people in their place. I know that if you are a people pleaser, you probably don't want to ruffle feathers, you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, but if someone has the audacity to disrespect you, no matter your age, no matter your height, no matter your gender, no matter where you came from, it doesn't matter if it's your mom disrespecting you, your grandma disrespecting you, your boss disrespecting you, your boyfriend disrespecting you, it doesn't matter. No one has the right to disrespect you. And when that happens, you need to put people in their place. Because if you allow it once, you're allowing them to do it again. Because they think, okay, well, I can talk to you like this and you didn't say anything, so I'm going to talk to you like that again and again and again and again. It does not matter if you're an entry-level worker working with someone who's worked at the company for 10 years, you deserve respect. I know it's scary. I know it's tough. I know you don't want to lose your job, but if you keep sticking it out, if you keep allowing for this to happen, what's the alternative? You lose yourself. You lose your confidence. You lose your self-esteem. When you set an intention that you want to have greater self-worth, that you want more people to respect you, that you want more people to take you seriously, the universe is not going to give you all of those things at once, but instead the universe is going to test you. The universe is actually going to give you very challenging people to deal with. And the universe is putting the ball in your court and saying, okay, what are you going to do? What if these lessons and these people are here to help you strengthen your courage to stand up for yourself? If you prayed for more respect, what if instead of having the problem completely disappearing is, what if God instead gave you more courage to stand up for yourself, the courage to fight back and to share with people how you should be treated? If you're praying to get more respect and you want more people to take you seriously, God is making sure that you can handle that level of respect right now. Just see everything as a confirmation check. Don't take any of this personally. The universe is simply looking for proof that you're ready for your desires and ready for what you're asking for. We have finally reached the end of this video. I would love to know in the comments down below, what are your tips to become instantly respected and taken seriously? And if you want to implement everything that I've taught in this video, download my worksheets down below. If you are currently on the journey of becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you love, check out my channel because I make a ton of videos about self-worth, romantic relationships, love, intimacy, career, literally all things high-value women energy. And if you like this video, I highly recommend you check out this video over here. This video shows you how to write your own personal code and how to set higher standards for life and for yourself. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for tuning all the way to the end, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!